Strong words about CJ Stroud from his offensive coordinator and one of his new teammates that has me thinking, are we minimizing the importance of year 2 for CJ Stroud? Let's go inside the locker room and talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle is what we really do. We the source. We the post.
Texans were on the field this week, and there were some interesting things said about CJ Stroud. One from a new teammate, one from a second-year offensive coordinator. It is the locker room. Number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 Central, Sports Radio 610, and the Odyssey app. Let's start with what Joe Mixon had to say, which, I mean, I think it's common on the Texans streets among Texans fans, but Joe Mixon said it out loud.
Come in and be with CJ, and by CJ being, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, bro, it's a hell of a thing. I don't know if he even knows it yet, but he has all the right tools. He have all the right traits for him to be actually the best in the league. And
not one of. He has all the traits to be the best quarterback in the league. That's Joe Mixon, who played with Joe Burrow. You can see he's saying it with a straight face. And quite frankly, I think even national media types don't look at that as too crazy. Although you do have Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, who is probably going to be the best for the next 10 years. But you hear Joe Mixon say that. He seems to believe it. And I think most importantly, CJ Stroud seems to believe it. And just based on the small sample size you have from CJ Stroud in the offseason, and this is the first time that he's had time to kind of step away from football in a long time. You heard him say that, but you've seen him working out with Stephon Diggs as soon as they traded for him. And you kind of see him when he's on the field. He's trimmed up. So it's not like, he might have been traveling, but it seems like he's staying to his routine, and he definitely looks the part. That's not even really the craziest quote to me. The craziest quote from practice last week came from Bpbby Slowik. Bpbby Slowik, offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, interviewed for some head coaching gigs. We know that year 2 is generating a lot of excitement around the NFL and in Houston when it comes to what DeMeco Ryans, what CJ Stroud can do. And I don't want to say it's still a honeymoon phase. I think expectations are still pretty high, but the word pivotal hasn't really been used when describing this season. There's opportunity as long as CJ Stroud's on his rookie deal. There's a chance to stack up years and build something special, but pivotal hasn't really been a word that's been used. There'll be a time when we'll be talking pivotal with CJ Stroud and the Texans. And I don't want to say that there's a feel that they've been playing with house money, but there's a lot of hype despite a small sample size, reasonably so. But the word pivotal hasn't really been used until Bpbby Slowik went to the podium and was talking about CJ Stroud heading into year 2. I thought this was an interesting quote that leads to a lot of questions about the significance, the outlook of the 2024 Houston Texans football season. Let's hear from Bpbby.
Year 2 for CJ is really year 2 for a quarterback is a big year. It's a really, really impactful year to me that kind of sets the trajectory for the rest of his career. And I think a lot of that has to do with you get a chance to hammer the fundamentals. Like last year, there's a lot going on. You got to hit fundamentals, you got to hit verbiage, you got to hit play calls, you got to hit protections, you got to hit all this stuff. And you hit fundamentals to a degree, but you can only do so much. Now we really get to dive into the fundamentals of this is what we do and how we play and what makes him great, and really fit that and grow that within our offense. So that really, to me, is what's been just through phase 2 and OTA so far. I mean, he's on board and all in, and he's picking up right where he left off.
All right, so year 2, I don't typically look at things in that way. Like if CJ Stroud came out and had a rough year 2, I wouldn't look at it as, wow, this was the opportunity. Maybe year 3, maybe year 4. Year 4 for sure, because that's a lot of times year 3 too, when you're deciding if you want to give that guy that second contract. But year 2, you hear Bobby Slowik say that, and I just wonder, okay, so if you would have told me that CJ Stroud would have struggled a little bit, there would have been some new problems in year 2. I wouldn't have looked at it as, damn, this is a huge problem. This is a big mistake. Oh my gosh, what's going on? The sky is falling. But when he says that now, maybe there's a little more urgency for year 2. He talked about fundamentals, and there's been questions about, what does CJ Stroud need to work on? How can he improve his game? I think Bobby Slowik just told you without being asked about it. Fundamentals, perhaps. I don't know the specific fundamentals, but that's what he says. But when Bobby Slowik talks about year 2, it just kind of makes you wonder, okay, maybe this is a more pivotal year than we thought. Then there's this, though. Maybe it's bigger for Slowik. CJ, I think, is on the straight and narrow. I actually think year 1 kind of set the trajectory for CJ Stroud's career, as Slowik just said. Now, when you're a first-year offensive coordinator, you interview for head coaching jobs, and you don't get a head coaching job. I think year 2 is just as big for the OC, because if you take the step back, who knows when you get back in the mix. So maybe Bobby's speaking for himself as well. It's kind of a win-win type of situation. CJ is going to be here for a long time. Bobby Slowik, as good as he is, as much as people have grown to like him, and as much as he sounds like a damn head coach at that podium now, man, he's always been pretty smooth. But Bobby Slowik, he sounds the part at that podium, but in his perfect world, he doesn't want to be here too long. He wants to be a head coach. So when he says that, the year 2 thing, maybe it's just as much about him as it is CJ. Just kind of makes you think a little bit. It's that part of the year. We're about a month and a half away from camp, maybe a little bit over a month and a half. We'll be on the field out there broadcasting. Be sure to follow along. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along with me and Cody Stutes as we get this going. But really, really interesting stuff from Bobby Slowik. Is he talking about himself? Is he talking about CJ? Does he have a point? Or is it just that old coaches speak that we tolerate? Business is picking up. You got the non-voluntary coming up soon. Training camp will be here before you know it. And the excitement is as high as it's been. We started this channel less than 2 years ago, and it's intensifying. The interest is high, and the more the merrier. Let's get it. And always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Bobby Slowik, CJ Stroud, year 2. Let me know what you think. Appreciate you for coming through.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the head.